Hi, this is Wayne Chapin from Xerillion. This video is going to be a demo-heavy video about the Microsoft 365 Business Phone System updated for 2019. And we're going to be focusing heavily using Microsoft Teams because that's the way you connect into the Microsoft phone system. So I'm going to show the Teams desktop app, the Teams mobile app, the Teams web app. I'm going to be showing you, for those people who want to use a traditional desk phone, I'm going to be showing you the Yealink desk phone certified for Microsoft Teams and the Jabra headsets as well. And I'm also going to share my best practices over 2.5 years of working with the Microsoft phone system heavily in our business, and with the experiences that we've gained migrating 31 companies and 600 users over into the Microsoft phone system. So with that in mind, let's get right into the Teams desktop app. So here we are now in the Microsoft Teams desktop app, and this is where you'd spend a lot of time. Now, specifically, I'm up in the speed dial section. So in my case, what I've done is I've taken everybody in the company and I put them here into speed dial. So I can just see them like boom in one shot. Depending on the size of your company, that might make sense or not, but we can do that here at Xerillion. And so if I want to point out a couple things here. Right here, you can see status, or Microsoft calls presence information. You know, this person's available, this person's busy, this person's away, this person is in a call. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. So this person's in a call, and right over here, this person's away, and this little designation means they're out of office. Seeing that information, that status information, is so helpful to know how to move forward with business. And it increases productivity. So let's go into the fact that we're talking about the Microsoft phone system, and let's go up to this person right here who's in a call. When I see that they're in a call, I know a couple things. I know they're in the office. I know they're by their computer. They could potentially respond to me. But now the thing is, I know they're on a phone call. They either are on a call just, waiting, they're on hold maybe, I don't know, or maybe they're talking to somebody. Of course, I'm going to be making the assumption they're talking to somebody and I don't want to disrupt them, but maybe I've got a really urgent piece of business to do. So now knowing that they're in a call, I know that, well, hitting them up with a video chat, probably not a good idea, or hitting them up with a call, an audio call, probably not a good idea either. But maybe what I can do is I can click chat and we can do a text-based chat conversation back and forth real quick. And if it's really, really urgent, now they might respond to me and say, look, I'm really in the middle of a call. Sorry, can't do it right now. And then I go, you know what? I'll just go ahead and email you. So I may choose to email that person, but it's so much better knowing that than having no visibility on people's status whatsoever. And I email them and then I get distracted by something else. And the next day I realize I saw their out of office message. You can move things along a lot faster if you can see their status. And it's really helpful to know they're in a call or not. And the Microsoft phone system will show they're in a call. It'll show they're in a conference call. It'll show that they're presenting in a conference call. Really, really helpful, powerful features for your company. Okay, so next let's go into the contacts section of the Teams app for the Microsoft phone system. I'm going to click right there. And here's all of your contacts, just like you would see them in Outlook. But now they're integrated with the Microsoft phone system here, so it's pretty nice. You go here, pick somebody. You could go ahead and call them right from their main number. You can click the little phone icon that's right there, or you can drop this down. And if they have alternate numbers, you can pick one of those as well. And you could also add them to your speed dial. So next we're going to move into the call history section that you'd expect to find in a phone system. So here's my call history, and pretty straightforward here. What I could do is just click on this and I could call them back. I could add them to speed dial and I can make a new contact out of that call, or I could block it. So next we're going to go into voicemail. Certainly you'd expect to find that in a phone system. So here's my voicemails, and what I want to show you here is I can click this and there's the play button, but I could also adjust the speed real easily if I wanted to do that. But also it transcribed the voicemail for me, and it's also sent me this in my mailbox as well. But here's the transcription. I can look at that real quick, and then from here I can click on the Lisp and make some decisions. Do I want to keep that as unread? Do I want to delete it? Do I want to call that person back, add to speed dial, add to contacts, or block? So as you would expect inside of a phone system, you'd expect to find a good old-fashioned dial pad, which this has this as well. I actually don't use the dial pad that much because most of my calls are scheduled, so I'm usually joining conference calls through Microsoft Teams, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But if you need to punch a phone number in, 847-995-9800, you could certainly do that. And, just it's worth mentioning right above the dial pad, especially if this is you get a new direct dial number when you set up the Microsoft phone system for your company, it puts your phone number right up there as well. And that was actually really, really handy when I didn't remember my phone number off the top of my head when I first moved into the Microsoft phone system. But you can bring over your phone numbers, so just so we're clear on that issue. Anyway, so here's the dial pad, and you can also copy and paste phone numbers in there as well. I will show you a little bit later on. You might be wondering, can I click to call if I'm in a web browser or something like that? You can, and I will show you. But whoever built the website has to put a little tag on that for that actually to work. But I'll show you that. But most of the time, I'm just either punching numbers in, copying, pasting them here, or I'm pretty much just joining conference calls, or calls are coming inbound and transferred over to me. One of the things you might want to be able to do too is pick up parked calls. Wayne, you got a call on line 12, or Wayne, you got a call on line 22, whatever. So here, I'm going to go back over into the speed dial, and I'm going to go ahead and show that feature right here that you have inside of Microsoft Teams. They don't have this for the Skype for Business app, but they do have this for Microsoft Teams. And in 2019, this is what we move people into these days because Microsoft wants everybody to go into Microsoft Teams, which I would recommend you do anyway. But anyway, getting back to the parked calls, if I want to pick up a parked call, somebody will just tell me, what line it's on, but it's basically just a parked call code. And I click it, and I just plug in the number there. And I can do the same thing on my Teams mobile app and my smartphone, which I'll get into that a little bit later as well. But the point is, you can set park calls and you can pick up park calls here in the app as well. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is the really nice calendar integration that Microsoft Teams has. So this is the calendar that is coming from my Outlook calendar. It's the same thing. But recently, Microsoft upgraded the Teams app calendar integration. I mean, literally weeks ago from recording this video, and it's really nice. We had a much more narrower view of a calendar. So now we have this really nice big view of the calendar, and it's a real simple process of joining conference calls or video meetings. At Xerillion, we don't do audio conference calls because it kills me not to have a face context and a hand context when I'm talking to somebody. And so usually for having conference calls outside of Xerillion, nobody joins with their video. But in Xerillion, we do this constantly, and it's really, really effective and really productive. But if I want to join a meeting, I just click on it right here, and I can click join. And if I want to make a change to my speakers or my microphone or my webcam, and I work with a couple of different, each of all those things, I could do that. But if I don't have any of those things to change, I just simply click on join. And if I want to, I can also blur my background. So if sometimes some people are worried about their messy background, or they don't want anybody to know that they're calling from their house or something like that, it's a very simple thing to just go ahead and obscure your background right there. And that works really, really nice and makes people a lot more comfortable. And often what I do is I end up joining with my microphone off and my background obscured. And that's it. And I'd say, half the people in our company when we do meetings, that's what they end up doing as well. The next thing I'm going to show you is settings. So I'm going to go over here. This is me, and it's probably worth noting here that I've set my status to do not disturb because I'm recording, and I also put what I'm actually up to so people know that if they have something they got to talk to me about, they can make a decision. I've set it to do not disturb, which I don't often do. I usually only do it when I'm recording, and then actually put what I'm up to. But obviously, if there's something really urgent, I could let people know here that, hey, if you really need to get a hold of me, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, just know that I'm recording here. But let's go down into the settings here, and I want to show you a few of those. So the first thing here I want to show you is dark mode. Every app that I can set a dark mode setting on, I do. It is so much easier on my eyes. It is so much easier as far as eye strain goes when you're a person like myself, and there's a lot of you out there that like this, that, your value to the world has you in front of a computer all day long. So dark mode is just fantastic for reducing that eye strain. So this is where you could do that, and Teams has it, and it's really, really nice. Also, now if I want to go ahead and change my audio devices, I was just showing you when I was talking about joining conference calls inside the calendar portion of Microsoft Teams. Here I can just go ahead and make those adjustments as well. So I have a couple different headsets that I work with. I could just go ahead and switch those on the fly right here. Or if I want to work with my external speakers, my external microphone, I can set those as well. And I do tend to move back quite a bit in this area. Most people wouldn't. I just tend to do that myself. And here it has this nice feature when you switch, and if you're not sure if you made the switch correctly, what you can do is you can click Make Test Call, and it's a really nice feature where, so after you've made the switch for your speakers and your microphone, you hit that button, and then it'll first play something through your speakers to verify that you can actually hear stuff with the change you made, and then it'll say, go ahead and say something, and then it'll record that and then play it back to you over your speakers. So you know that when you made a change in your speakers and your microphone, that the next time you jump on that call, you won't be looking like a dope because nobody can hear you or something like that. So that's a really, really nice feature. And then down here, of course, you can change your camera. I'm recording on the camera that I usually work with, but I could switch over right here if I wanted to. And there you can see me if I need to move back and forth between cameras. But here, that's how you make those changes. Now I want to show you where you would set what happens when people call you. So if a call rings you, do you want it to ring somebody else in your company? Do you want your calls forwarded over here to your cell phone number? If the calls go unanswered, what do you want it to do? Do you want it to just go to voicemail? Do you want it to do nothing and just ring and ring and ring and ring? Or do you want it to go to a call group? So if you're a salesperson in your organization and the call comes inbound to you and you can't pick it up, do you want it to ring the other salespeople in the company so somebody at least takes that call? This is where you can set that. Also, then I want to show you delegates. So this is an important thing. Delegates can make and receive calls on your behalf, or they can make and receive calls on your phone number. So if you have an assistant and they need to be able to, make and receive calls, they need to be able to screen calls for you, this is where you would go ahead and set that setting. So when you use the Microsoft Teams desktop app as your soft phone and you go down that route as opposed to having a traditional desk phone, which I would highly recommend, you're going to need a headset of some type. So let's get into that next. Okay, so now we're at my desk. This is my setup. A couple monitors, a laptop. But what I want to show you here is when we're working with the Microsoft Teams desktop app, we need a headset. Okay, I'm going to show you a little bit later using a traditional desk phone for people that want to do that. But I'm going to show you how I work with headsets and how we do it at Xerillion. So right here, I have the Jabra Evolve 65. So this is a really high-end model. And this has a very cushy set of ear cushions on it. The sound is amazing. And it really puts you into your own little world. Now, I like having both ears covered. Some people like having one ear covered. And I think the difference between a single ear or a dual ear headset more has to do with the noisiness of your office environment. So if you're in a noisier open office environment, you might like having both ears covered. And this also has a noise canceling button right here as well, which I use that quite a bit. And so if you're in a quieter office environment, then you may want to just have a single ear headset. But the Jabra Evolve 65 and the Jabra Evolve line in general, and we have all kinds of their Jabra Evolve models that at Xerillion that we use, and we also set up clients with, but primarily it comes down to wired versus wireless and single ear versus dual ear. So I talked about single ear versus dual ear, a noisier, quieter office environment, or it may just be a personal preference. But then let's also talk about wired versus wireless. So I'm going to show you both models, a wired and a wireless solution. I've used them both extensively. I've had this one for quite a while and I wasn't using it that much. To me, sometimes I like not worrying about a battery, and sometimes I don't necessarily want to feel like I'm in my own little personal world with these, which these definitely put you in that. But if you've ever been in an airplane, you see people have the big Bose headsets on, Well, a friend of mine had one of those and the noise canceling worked really well. And I thought, I'm going to switch from using my wired headset, which again, I'll show you in a minute, to going to this full time, which I do. And so this goes with me everywhere. It's a 14-hour battery life. Again, this is the Jabra of All 65. It's a 14-hour battery life, high-end speakers, high-end upgraded microphone. So it sounds really, really good. I've done video recordings using this before, and it really sounds really great. And it works with Bluetooth, and it also has a proprietary dongle, which works even better than Bluetooth. And I have it over here. If I unplug this, Jabra has, again, you can use Bluetooth if you want, but they also have their own proprietary dongle, which has better range and better sound quality than working with Bluetooth, and which is what I prefer to use. So when I'm working, I use the dongle, and with the Jabra of All 65. When I am on a plane or I'm traveling around, or if I'm just taking a walk, I actually grab these and put these on my head, go for a walk, and listen to Spotify connecting through Bluetooth. And it just sounds fantastic. So these have become my go-to. I use these all the time. And they go ahead and you just dock it right here. And then it just stays charged for you. Now, what I want to show you is what it looks like when you're using this configuration of the Teams desktop app in the Microsoft phone system and the Jabra Evolve headset. What does it look like when you receive a call? Now you'll see over here, I've got a notification inside of Teams, and I could go ahead and accept the call, or I could reject the call. And over here on the Jabra Evolve headset, it's blinking lit up, and I could go ahead and take this. Hello, this is Wayne. And when I'm done with the call, I just hit this button again, or I could go over here and hang up right here. And that's all there is to it. And I just go ahead and take this, just mount it back down on the dock. So what I just showed you previously was the Jabra Evolve 65. It's dual ear, wireless, it's very high end. And now I want to show you the entry level model, which is the Jabra of All 40. And we sell plenty of these too. And it's dual ear and it's wired, but I'm going to show you some kind of interesting things about it. So, I mean, pretty much same thing here. We got a dual ear configuration. You could also get a single ear, depending on your office environment or preference. It has the boom mic. And what I want to show you here is the controls for it are on this little USB adapter here. So you see this. It has a 3.5mm headphone jack right here, and this right here connects in by USB. So it's pretty handy when a call comes in. You could just sit here and answer the call. You could disconnect the call. You could turn the volume up or down, turn your microphone on or off right here. So that is really nice, and you don't have to worry about a battery. It's a very simple setup. Now, the microphone and the speaker are great on here. For years, I was using this. This would be my go-to. I'd throw it in my backpack, and I would use my Samsung Galaxy Note with Spotify. I would take it, with me on plane trips, and I would just listen to my music that way. And if I did need to jump on a call, I would just go ahead and take this out here, and I would just plug it right into my smartphone, and it was good to go. And I never had to worry about a battery, which I like that a lot. Now with the Jabra of All 65, because I take that with me outside of my office all the time, and it has a 14-hour battery, I've come to realize that battery lasts forever. I don't really have to worry about it. But I really do like the simplicity of this as well. And this is quite a bit less expensive than the Jabra of All 65. And so if you are not worried about having a really high-end headset, and you just want something for everyday use over at your office, and you don't want to have to worry about batteries, this will get it done. And what I also like about this as well is it presents a nice solution for your backup phone system. So one of the things comes up is if you have an internet outage. They're really not that common anymore, but if you had an internet outage, it's really simple then to, the old days what we'd have to do is have the main phone number sent over to somebody's cell phone or something like that at the company. We don't have to do that anymore. You take this out of its jack, plug this in your phone, run the Teams mobile app. You got your cellular internet connection right here. Voila, you're back in business with the phone system. The phone system works the same whether you're connected in the Teams mobile app here through this headset or whether you're connected into the Teams desktop app using the other headset. So that is really nice, and to be able to go back and forth is really, really handy. And again, you don't have to worry about a battery. So I like them both. Again, these days I tend to use the Jabra Evolve 65. It is really nice when I travel. It's really nice when I go out and exercise. I use it there as well, but I use this for a really long time as well. And this is about half the price. So anyway, now you see that as well. So now I've shown you the Microsoft Teams desktop app with a headset configuration. So this is a soft phone setup, and I think it's a really great setup when you have your emails, your files, your security, your management all on a laptop or all on a mobile device, and then you're connecting in with a headset, not a traditional desk phone. But there are still plenty of people that want to have a traditional desk phone setup. And I would say of the over 600 users we've migrated over in 31 businesses, I'd say it's a 60-40 split. So in other words, 60% of the people end up going with the Teams desktop app and a headset, and then the other 40% go with a traditional desk phone. So that's what I'm going to show you next. I'm going to show you the Yealink desktop phones that are certified for Microsoft Teams, if that's what you would be interested in for your business. Okay, so here we have the Yaling T55A desk phone. So for people that want to have a desk phone on their desk and they don't want to use a headset with the Microsoft Teams app on their computer, we have this solution here. And this is a great get it done phone. It's going to work for like 95% of the people. I'm going to show the little fancier T56A shortly in a few minutes, but I want to take you through this standard phone. So here we have handset, pick it up, get a dial tone. We have a speakerphone, nice and loud with a volume control. We have a microphone control. We have a headset control, which I'll show that in just a minute too. And then we have a voicemail button and then a number pad. So I'm going to go ahead and dial it now so you can hear what it sounds like when somebody calls you. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and hang up. I'm going to do that from the touch screen. Now what I'm going to show you is the real simple way you would connect in a headset if you did want to use that. Right on the back of this unit is a little headphone jack. So I'm going to go ahead and take the dongle from my Jabra Evolve 65, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it in here. And immediately it says USB headset connected. And then my headset is going to work with this phone. So now I'm going to go ahead and dial it once more with the headset now connected. Hello, this is Wayne. And it's just as simple as that to connect up a headset. And it's also worth noting that you can also do this with the Jabra Evolve 40, which has a USB connection here. You can plug that right in the back of this as well. It'll connect right up. There's no programming or configuration to do. Works really nicely. Okay, so next up we have the Yaling T56A. And it's a little fancier, a little showier on a desk, more of an executive style phone. But you know, we got similar features. We've got a handset, got dial tone, got a nice loud speakerphone with a volume control, headset button, microphone button, dial last number button, and we have a few more buttons here. This one is to pause the call, this one is to transfer the call, and we have voicemail and the number pad. And also, it also has the place where we can go ahead and take the USB dongle for our headset, or if we have a USB connection, a wired USB connection, we can just plug it right back in there and it automatically kicks up and we're good to go. No programming or configuration for the headset. So now I want to show you what the phones look like side by side on my desk. I'm kind of running out of room here a little bit, but I wanted to show you what they look like compared to each other, and also what they look like on a desk, and also compared to my laptop and my screens over here. But you can see this one looks just fine. And it has standard features that somebody would need if they wanted a desk phone to be able to make and receive calls and get on a speakerphone. And this one has those same features, a few more buttons, but you can see this one's a little fancier looking, a little showier looking. So now I'm going to take you into a close-up view of the Yaling T55A. The T56A, which was a little bigger, a little showier version, but they function pretty much the same. So anyway, okay, handset, number pad, voicemail access, which we'll get to in a second, and then you have a headset, microphone control, volume control, and speakerphone. Real straightforward stuff right there. So first thing I want to show you is voicemail. Here's voicemails, and you can see right here that it's showing you the transcription of the voicemail. This one happens to be a very long message. From here I could play it if I want to hear it. I could go over here and change the speed if I want to increase it or decrease it, and I can read it real quick. That's so handy. You know, if you just want to take a zoom through it, and you know, if it's a sales call that really doesn't pertain to you, or somebody's soliciting, you know, you can just go ahead and instead of listening through the message, you can go ahead and delete it real quick. But you could certainly call here, and you could choose to delete as well. Now I'm going to show you in the calls, just so you can see it right here. You know, here's the phone numbers of calls in and out, and you can see number here. And you know, if you miss the call, you could go ahead and click it and choose to call that person back. Last thing I want to show you is the meetings. Now, you're not going to be scheduling your meetings in here. What's neat about this is that you can go ahead and see meetings that you would join. So here's one right here. So instead of clicking on this further, for example, and expanding the information, and then getting the dial-in number and then the conference ID, well, in Microsoft Teams, I can just click that little join button right here. So this is my calendar, the same calendar that I would see in Microsoft Outlook. You can see that little join button. I can just hit it and just join it without having to worry about the phone number or the conference ID. I think that is really cool and super handy. Okay, and then here I just want to show you real quick the Yaling T56A and what it looks like as far as the controls you have right here. So we just got a few more buttons. We have the last number dialed, as well as speakerphone, microphone, headset, number pad, volume control, voicemail. And over here, then we get a few more, a call transfer button and a call hold button. But the touch screen, it's just bigger. And again, a little showier, but it's the same controls for your calls. Meetings, you can just join those like I was showing you in the other phone, where you could just click join. You don't have to worry about a dial-in number or a conference ID. And then you could just hit voicemails as well. It's also worth showing up here that I didn't show this in the T55A, that you can pick up parked calls. So this button right there, Wayne, you got a call on 10. Wayne, you got a call on 23. I mean, whatever. You just go ahead and plug that number in there, and you can just pick up the parked call right from here. The T55A had that feature as well, and that feature is accessible through the touchscreen. Now I'm going to show you the Microsoft Teams mobile app. Now here I've got a duplicated view of my Samsung Galaxy Note 8 smartphone, which I absolutely love. And something I'll point out right here, Teams is very prominent on my first screen. Outlook doesn't even make it onto my first screen. We use Teams so heavily at Xerillion. This is where our files are stored. This is where we do all of our internal communication, our chat conversations, our collaboration, our video meetings, our conference calls with customers. This is where we stream live events. And it works so well inside the Teams mobile app, not just the desktop app. The Teams mobile app is outstanding. My communications overall is probably 15% in Microsoft Outlook and 85% in Microsoft Teams. So very important to me. So I'm going to go ahead and click into it, and we're just going to be talking about the Microsoft phone system integration for this video. And I have another video, heavy duty on Microsoft Teams, a few videos back. You can watch that if you like. But anyway, so this is where we would connect in with the Microsoft phone system. So here's the call history, what you would expect here. Here's a call. I can go ahead and call them back if I wanted to. Here's voicemail, and just like I showed you in the other systems here, you can go ahead and play it. You can change the speed over here if you like. It's transcribed if you want to look at it real quick and say, oh, I don't care about this call, and just go ahead and delete it. But there is all of that right there for you. Very easy to access, and it works really nicely just on the phone itself. Here I can go ahead and click this, and I can go ahead and search on my contacts if I want to pull up one of those, the same contacts that are in Outlook. If I want to go ahead and just punch in a phone number, I could go down here, click on this little icon, and I could punch in, I'll punch in our phone number, 847-995-9800, and click dial. And also, it's really handy that it puts your direct dial number down there. I know the old joke is, well, when somebody doesn't remember their company phone number, they'll make a joke saying, I don't often dial myself. But boy, that is really the case in 2019. I know in my case, I don't really give out my phone number, even my business phone number, that often, because people don't really ask for it. I'm usually joining conference call after conference call, or somebody's dialing our main number and then transferring the call over to me. So every once in a while, I do have to give it out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it? And I look down here and I can see it. Very, very handy. Also up here, you can pick up parked calls. So you see the little phone icon with the little P. I click this, and if an inbound call comes into our main number and they're looking for me, then somebody in our reception group can park the call, and then they can say, send me a text message saying, or send me a chat message in Teams saying, Wayne, you got to call on 12, or Wayne, you got to call on 15. I just go ahead and plug it in there and pick up the call. That is very, very handy. Also, I want to show you how from here you would just join conference calls. So I was showing you in Teams on the desk phone. I was showing you in Teams in the desktop app, but it's the same here too. It's very handy to just go ahead and click join, not have to worry about a dial-in number or a conference ID, and just click and you're in. And then from there, you determine, do you want to turn your video on or not? So now I'm going to go ahead and ring myself real quick so you can hear what it sounds like when somebody rings using the Teams mobile app. And you can see it's in a couple different places here. I've got a couple different phones going on. I've got my desk phone, the ALink T56A. I've got the app on my desktop. But also, what I just want to show you right here is what it looks like on the Teams mobile app. So I can go ahead and decline or accept the call right from there. Now I want to show you if, let's say you need to jump on a kiosk computer and for whatever reason you don't have the Teams mobile app on your phone. You don't have your laptop with you, or you don't have a laptop, and you're just away from your computer or your mobile device. You can still join in the Teams web app. So I log into portal.office.com, and this takes me to the main screen. I click on Teams, and then from here, I go in. Now I'm in Teams, and I go down to the calendar display. I click on that, and all I have to do is I can just click on this right here, and I can go ahead and join that call. And then from there, once I'm in the meeting, I can determine, do I want to change my speakers, my microphone, maybe I have a headset or whatever. But it's really nice to be able to go to the web app, the Teams web app, and to be able to join on conference calls as well. You can't access the Microsoft phone system through the web app though, just an FYI. So next up, I want to show you the integration of Microsoft Outlook, because that's where most people are usually at these days with the Microsoft phone system. So I'm going to go into contacts, and let's just say I wanted to dial somebody. I'm going to click on this person right here, go to more, you see right there, and then click call, and then I can choose one of these phone numbers. So if I did that, and I'll just start dialing that person right away. Now I also want to show you what it looks like when you work with the calendar and joining conference calls in Teams. So if I go over here and I've got a meeting right here, I can right click on this meeting and I can choose to join the Teams meeting there if I want, or I could click on it and I could choose to join the team meeting right there. And it's really nice because in this case then I don't have to worry about a conference number and a conference ID, things like that. I just click to join, and if I click that right there, then before I join, it's going to give me a chance to blur my screen if my background if I want. I could turn my microphone on and off. I can turn my camera on and off, or I could change the devices, the speaker, microphone that I'm using. Very, very handy, very intuitive. And I also want to show you how easy it is to create a Teams conference call. So I'll just pick a spot here. I'm going to right click, go to new meeting request. I'll go ahead and put test meeting, and I'm going to put okay. And then from here, I just click Teams meeting right there. Boom. And then it fills in everything. There's the phone number. There's the conference ID. If somebody wants to join by clicking on from their computer, by clicking here, they can certainly do that as well. Super intuitive, super handy. So one of the things you might be wondering is, can I dial from a web browser? And you can, but I'm going to show you, a couple of scenarios here. One is if you are using Google Chrome and you did a Google search. So I happen to know this particular company's numbers show a good example of this situation. But right here, if I type in Wisconsin Canoe Company, right down here, you can see their phone number. Now, if I hover over this, it's going to say call via Hangouts. I can't figure out how to adjust that. I've tried, but I'll show you something strange about it in just a second. So in a situation like that where it's going to force me to use Hangouts, which I don't use, I would have to go ahead and choose to copy and go up and pull Teams up and go ahead and paste it in there and then dial. But that same website for the Wisconsin Canoe Company, if I go all the way to the bottom, well, they've got it configured correctly. So if I hover over it, it actually has the little TEL : prefix in front of the phone number. And interestingly, again, I'm still in Google Chrome. If I click on that, it'll then dial. It'll ask me if I want to dial through Microsoft Teams. The integration, as you would imagine, seems to be a little better in Microsoft Edge. So if I'm in Microsoft Edge and I just go ahead and do a search for Wisconsin Canoe Company, right here, I get the same Google search result. But if I hover over this where Google forced me to dial out by Hangouts, if I click on this here, now it's going to go ahead and launch right into Teams. So just something for you to know. A lot of times I just end up copying and pasting because I'm not really sure. But the integration is there. And hopefully, maybe if somebody knows, they can comment below about how to switch that over in Google Chrome so it's not forcing me to use Hangouts. It's something, hopefully, that integration or that configuration will be something we'll be able to work with in the future, because it is nice to be able to just click around on websites and connect through on the Microsoft phone system. Next up, I want to talk about some cost guidelines when you're considering the Microsoft phone system, and you can compare it to what you have now, whether it's a box-on-the-wall phone system that you have a traditional phone circuit, or maybe you're into a contract with a cloud voice system. But to give you some ideas, there's the monthly cost and then there's the one-time project cost. So on the monthly cost, some questions and some drivers of the monthly cost is, what is your existing Microsoft Cloud subscription? So typically when we talk to people, they usually are in the lower tier, the cheapest subscriptions to get email working and maybe some desktop apps for their users. So we have to get them moved into the enterprise subscription. So that's Office 365 E1, E3, E5, or preferably Microsoft 365 E3 and E5. And so we have to determine what that is, and then determine, do we have to upgrade those subscriptions, and what would that additional monthly cost be? And do you have managed phone services by Xerillion? So it's a sophisticated system, and don't get kidded into thinking this is something because you got to have a little bit of a spark and enthusiasm for the Microsoft Cloud stuff, and you see it's this cool new world to operate in, and it really is. But the phones and voice communications are very sensitive for businesses, just like email. So it's very important that calls get in, calls can get out, you can join conference calls, and those systems are constantly being upgraded by Microsoft. So there's security upgrades that are coming out once a month, and then there's feature upgrades that come out every 6 months. And Microsoft is putting these things in a furious pace. And if they are going to be making changes, especially around security or features, some of those might not be compatible with your endpoints, the desktop computers, the mobile apps, the desktop apps, things like that. They will let you know, and they will give you a due date where you need to take care of this change, or you may not be able to work with that service on Monday morning. So all that stuff's out there. You have to pay attention to it. So there's the day-to-day stuff. A user can't get in, they can't connect, they're having a problem with their computer, they're having a problem, dialing out or calling or receiving calls, stuff like that. Stuff that goes on with any system, and especially a phone system. That's the reactive stuff, but then there's the proactive stuff that needs to be done. There's a checklist you go through. I have it as one of my other videos here about maintaining Microsoft 365. And when we do it for our customer, if we're doing the Microsoft phone system, there is a checkbox process that we go through. The engineer has to go and look for problems and then throw those in the remediation queue as tickets and then resolve those things. So if you have us do it, that's one cost factor. If you have yourself do it or your company does it and you don't really know what you're doing, that's also has another cost factor for you to consider. Another driver is conference calling. So what users do you want to have on the conference calling plan, which is a $4 add-on? But ballpark, when you're looking at the monthly cost, you're going to be looking at anywhere from $12 to $24 per user per month, generally speaking. And that also is dependent on, again, what subscriptions you have and what we have to move you up to. And then the one-time cost, the big driver is hardware. So there's a couple different routes I talked to you about. One is where you use the Microsoft Teams desktop app with a headset, which is my preferred route. Another is where you use the Yealink desk phones, and that is a big driver. So if you use desk phones and you get everybody desk phones because people are comfortable with it and you don't like this idea of working with the phone system as an app on your computer, fine. But generally on the higher end, the more costly setups, there's a high number of users, and then there is everybody's getting hardware. So that is a big cost component. And then also the complexity. So sometimes we set these up and then there's like 5 or 6 branch offices, a bunch of 800 numbers to bring over, and they've got a pretty advanced call group, call menu setup we have to do on the phone system, and a lot of testing and getting those users brought over and things like that. So that factors into it as well. So again, if you want to talk to us about it, we'd be happy to talk to you. The contact information is right below me on this screen. And then we can talk a little bit more about your setup and what you want to do, and then we can give you a proposal on that. Now I want to go over best practices as we've learned it with the Microsoft phone system. Over 2 years, 600 users, 31 companies that we've migrated, and we use it heavily ourselves. And I just want to run through these really quick. I have this information in another video, but basically it's like this. Purchase laptops instead of desktops if possible. So think about that for a second. If you set up your entire company with laptops as opposed to desktops, depending on the computers that we're talking about here, it might be a one-time difference of $200-300 per computer. And I understand for some of you bigger companies that is a pretty substantial number. But the thing is, this is huge for our disaster recovery, because if you're in Microsoft 365 and you don't have any on-premise equipment, so your emails, your files, your phone system, all of your management, your security is all in cloud services, again, including your phone system here, and it's on a laptop, and you can also access your phone system through the Teams mobile app on your smartphone. Wow. This would be a pretty amazing write-up that you could do on your company's backup and disaster recovery system. And when I say write-up, I'm talking about the piece of paper that you could hand auditors, or the piece of paper that you could write up in marketing material for your customers. You have 100% disaster recovery if you have laptops. And then, of course, that assumes people are taking laptops back and forth and stuff like that. But I don't think the price difference is so substantial that if you go down this path where we're talking about the Microsoft phone system, more than likely you have your emails, your files, your security up in Microsoft 365 as well. So that's point number one there. And number two, use the Teams desktop app on a newer computer. So it's great if you follow my advice and you decide, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and use the Teams desktop app instead of using having another device on the desktop. But it's not great if you have a 6-7-year-old computer you're doing it on. Even though you somehow got that thing upgraded to Windows 10, you really want to have a newer computer. That's better for that user. It's better for the company for productivity. But if you're going to be using the Teams desktop app, have a newer computer. And by newer, I'm talking about 3 years or newer, ideally. And use a Jabra headset. Get a good quality headset. There's all kinds of headsets out there. But I love Jabra. It works so well. It sounds so well. And they have, basically we're talking about 3, potentially 4 different headsets, single ear, dual ear, wired, wireless. It sounds good. The mics really sound great. And if you're a highly mobile worker or a desk worker where you're working in an office most of the time, just a simple set of solutions that are high quality, reasonably priced, and they're a great partner of ours to work with. So I would highly recommend doing Jabra headsets. And load up the Teams mobile app as a backup if your internet goes out. So there used to be a time where, as we were moving more and more things in the cloud, I'm like, well, you got to have your primary internet connection. Ideally, that's a fiber internet connection. Then you got to have your backup, and hopefully, that's probably like a lower end, like Comcast cable internet. It's a cable internet connection or a DSL connection, something like that, or even a wireless internet connection. You have a firewall that knows how to fail over and fail back. Just internet outages are just not that common anymore. And people, even I talked to today, are like, well, I don't really think we really don't have any internet outages here. I don't really think we need a backup. And our backup is, if we have the stuff in the cloud, we're just going to pick up our laptops, or we're going to take our smartphones and connect up and work that way until the internet's back up. You can absolutely do that. So for the phone system, the old school way we used to have to do things years and years ago is there would be a PRI circuit connected to the phone system in the office at the client. And if that circuit went out, then we'd have to take the main phone number and then direct it to like the president of the company's cell phone or something like that. Anyway, all that nonsense goes away. You just have to have the Teams mobile app on your smartphone, and voila, you just connect over your cellular internet connection until the company's primary internet connection comes up. Get fiber if you can. I used to be like really, really adamant about, boy, if fiber is not available, or it's not available at a reasonable price, we really need fiber for the phone service if we're doing the phone service over the internet. The Microsoft Teams with the Microsoft phone system is so robust. I've seen it work in just not great / semi-lousy conditions. Wi-Fi networks, somebody's working on that all day long, or a cellular internet connection. I can be downstairs in my basement in my house with a not great connection to the Wi-Fi tower that's closest to us, and I am amazed how good the Microsoft phone system is working and sounding, making that cellular internet connection. It blows my mind. But get a fiber internet if you can, and if it's reasonably priced, and get a cheap backup internet if possible. And then have a 3-year or newer firewall or router at your company. So that firewall or that router, it has a certain amount of processing power on it. And if we have a 6-7-year-old router or firewall there that's otherwise getting it done for us, and we're not really realizing just how slow it's getting slower and slower and slower. When we get the voice traffic moving through your internet, that firewall and that router is really, really important. So I'm a big believer in getting that equipment up to date, so it's 3 years or newer. And on your local area network switches, have 5-year or newer LAN switches. And ideally that we could prioritize those voice protocols over the internet connection, the WAN, or the local area connection. I mean, that's a primo solution. You don't have to have it set up where you have a VLAN set up for your voice and a VLAN set up for your computers. That really is not necessary. But if we can have your LAN and your firewall that's prioritizing prioritizing the voice traffic on your network on top of everything else, that's really great if we can do that. And then number 9, this is a big one. Everybody talks about training. Everybody talks about people got to learn new stuff and things like that. My experience is people like knowing stuff. They don't like learning stuff. But the good news is about Microsoft Teams and the Microsoft phone system, it's not complicated. You're probably talking about, really a half hour of training, to maybe an hour if you really want to know how to use Teams. And it's pretty intuitive. But just throwing your group into the Microsoft phone system and not giving them some training so they get beyond, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know how to use these really modern, sophisticated, cool applications. And I would rather you get a half hour, an hour of training, and a sequence of short little videos, by the way. That's how we set up training for our customers. When we cut them over, as part of the project, we do live training with the team. Depending on the number of users, we might set up 3 or 4 different dates, for example, if there's a lot of users, or maybe 1 or 2 if there's a smaller amount. But we'll let people know, who Xerillion is, what we're doing, setting the expectations and give them some orientation before we do this cutover. And that works really, really well. But if you want to take it up a notch above that, if you're giving your company this modern system, Microsoft 365 with a Microsoft phone system, they have all of these really great productivity tools. And instead of just having them interact with it like they always have with a 1 through 9 number pad, and when you hit this for your speakerphone, you hit this for your voicemail, how to really utilize this inside of Microsoft Teams. And we're not talking about much training, but then you have a group that would really know how to collaborate well together. And then when they're sitting in the meeting, they're coming up with ideas. Well, we're thinking about doing this, we're thinking about doing that. Well, Teams does this, Teams does that. And so the Microsoft phone system is going to be a great way for you to get in and get your team collaborating together and getting them inside of Microsoft Teams. And if you start getting a chat channel conversations, fantastic. If you get your files moved over there, which I highly recommend, I've got another video for that. But get some training. And again, you can talk to us about the training, and I'm not talking about training where you send somebody a video that they got to watch for 2 hours and they're going to be bored and they're not going to pay attention to most of it. I'm talking about quick training about, hey, how about this cool thing in Teams that you didn't know about? How about this cool thing in Teams you didn't know about? I bet you didn't know about this about the Microsoft phone system. Boom, 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 boom. And they learn, a bunch of neat things really, really fast. And it's a really cool way to get people up to speed, excited about this big investment that you've made in this modern cloud enterprise infrastructure for your company. So if it's something you're interested to talk to us about, you can email us support@Xerillion.com, or you can call us at 847-995-9800, and we'd be glad to talk to you about how we could potentially implement the Microsoft phone system for your company. Thanks for watching.